Hello, beautiful people. This is Maureen Grudzinski, otherwise known as Lil Witchy. I am here with my great co-host, Anthony Simonelli, otherwise known as...
Man, let's forget about how you doing tonight.
This is another fantastic episode of Dimensions of the Supernatural. We are pre-recorded for a couple of reasons. We have an amazing guest, probably one of the most interesting. And it's also my anniversary tonight. So happy anniversary, Hubs. We have
anniversary. I didn't know that.
Thank you. We have Bloody Mary with us tonight from New Orleans. She is being filled in by her little doll baby, Marie Laveau. So,
hey, Maria Laveau. That's very cool.
So she's with us off camera for a couple of reasons, but Bloody Mary is Mary Millen, and she is the voodoo priestess of New Orleans. She is known for so many amazing things. We are going to talk to her about lots of different topics. So we're going to get started because we don't have a lot of time with her. So, hi, Mary. How are you today?
Greetings, everyone. I have my surrogate doll over here, and I'm a big haunted doll, voodoo doll person, so that works. It was the only way I could squeeze time in to do this for you guys, is if we did it now, pre-recorded, and then as I said that, I broke my front tooth, so I don't want you to see it. So that's total honesty, but you can see my hands, you can see my temple, you can see my doll, and you might get me seeing me going giving an offering of rum or something. But
thank you so much.
I will send you pictures.
That's an awesome room back there.
Put them in. But anyway, yeah, I only agree to do podcasts usually, when they're not live, and when I don't have to worry about full makeup and dress as I squeeze you in between things. So other than that, it's a full day set apart for you, and I can't always make it in for you.
Thank you so
much. I didn't want you to see.
You're a woman after my own heart. I usually have pajama bottoms on, but I have like face and hair done. But thank you for being with us. We really love you.
No problem. The mundane gets in the middle of many things,
Yes.
And then there was some technical difficulties, which always happen, especially when filming in a haunted house with my voodoo spiritual temple, so, and in my house, the spirits are always, so I always say we have to say hello to the spirits first.
Hello.
And I am Mother Mary, Bloody Mary, and I'm here with you two. So you two have to introduce yourselves to my invisibles all around. So go for it.
Hello, I'm Maureen. It's nice to meet you all.
Hey, I'm Anthony. Nice meeting you all, and this is going to be great. You guys on our show. Thank you.
I have found that diffuses a little bit of the technical difficulties just by being nice. So
good. We like to
honor them with a candle to light the way, and ask Marie to help us today. So got a candle lit, got us here, got some rum, which we always have to give to the spirits. That is the correct way to give a voodoo offering. You're atomizing it with your breath. Your breath is the soul. They know who it's coming from. So yeah, it's spraying, it's spitting, and some people freak out, but it's ancient long before modern civilization, cultural custom, and religious custom. So now we're here. Now we can start. Hi.
Thanks for sharing that. That's cool.
So what is the difference between voodoo and hoodoo? And I know that you do both. Is that correct?
Sorta. Yeah. Well, the word hoodoo is being reclaimed in the last few years as a religion, but officially it never was. It was the practice that surrounded the religion, and the religion had various names, but generically known as voodoo, which were different nations' beliefs and customs, ancestors and heroes, and a definite ritual and ceremonial manner of addressing them and working with them religiously, feeding them, taking care of them. So if you were an occultist or witch, a priest, a shaman, you would say that voodoo is the high magic and hoodoo is the low magic.
Okay.
Meaning Hoodoo's the folk magic that surrounds the practice to get your needs met. Where voodoo, you're honoring the spirits, taking care of them. So compared to Catholicism, for it seems that it's in the Catholic areas that voodoo grew in the New World. You would have voodoo being the high mass and hoodoo being the novena, praying, focusing, using the candle chart, getting your needs met, a new job, new health, this and that, where, voodoo is ceremonially addressing, honoring the spirits, and it's a dance religion and a musical religion. And it varied where it landed, how it developed, but it stemmed, of course, from Africa with the slave trade.
So interesting.
That's what I heard. I mean, it's between the African religion and Catholic religion.
Well, no, it's an African religion that came from, or religion, culture, that came from Africa to the New World. In the New World Catholic areas, it developed a diasporic version, which included the Catholic saints and some of the Catholic beliefs, because the slaves were forced Catholicized, but they managed to make a connection so that they got to revere both religions. Now, these days, it's popular to try to strip away some of the things that were forced upon slaves. That is still religion. Try to get back as much to the root, but everything evolves. Everything changes. Christianity certainly has. All of them have over the years. So it's hard to really get back. And these days, people are trying to claim hoodoo as a religion since it was the cultural ways of, survival. So even though it wasn't officially at the beginning a religion, it was voodoo that was a religion. And hoodoo was also known as maybe conjure or root work, which was a mixture of the African, the Native American, Indian, and the European, because you have to address where you land. You have to know the land spirits. You have to know the new flora, fauna, all of it. And so wherever the African slave trade landed, it would have to embrace the spirit of place. And that's what a lot of people don't get. It's not the same everywhere. And in New Orleans, that would have been swamp magic. The root of that here. So the city of New Orleans was 80% swamp, at the beginning. So this was not far distanced away like you may envision it today. It was right in your face, so if you didn't learn, become one, embrace it, as well as the technical official religion of Catholicism, survival would have been slim. So New Orleans is in Haiti, New Orleans is in Cuba, New Orleans is in Jamaica, but there were similar types of things going on. And different musics developed because of this, because each of the different nations of slave trade had different drum beats to call the spirits, which would blend in with the others' musical instruments and create slightly different musics in all those areas, but yet music nonetheless.
So this wasn't just a religion, this was a culture.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And because cultural was somewhat more allowed to stay intact here than other places. For example, they didn't break up slave families here until after an age of maturity of 15 or 16. So sometimes entire slave families were sold together. So ideas between nations and families seem to, I hear a dog, remain more intact. I have a ghost dog, but it didn't sound like
That's me.
it seemed to remain more intact. There were some freedoms here that didn't exist in the rest of the country. And basically, we were not part of this country. Geographically, you look at us as a southern city.
No.
You back?
We lost her again.
We lost you again.
This was such a great interview too.
Can you text her? Because she's
Mary,
talking.
we lost your sound again.
I don't think she can hear us.
It's definitely spirits. We've never had this problem before.
She's probably talking. She doesn't hear us.
She can hear us. I don't.
Can you hear us, Mary? Because we don't hear you. We don't hear you. We don't hear you.
I don't think.
She's talking. She goes, we don't hear you. We don't hear you.
Yeah, she knows.
Mm. And everything by her is fine too. She can come back.
Let's hope this works.
We've been having troubles today. I mean, my cameras. Look at the camera I have right now. So it's been.
I really love her. She has such amazing information.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, she comes back.
That's why I didn't want to use it. When people call, it's going to knock it off. I wanted to use my laptop.
Can you put your phone on Do Not Disturb? Maybe that might help.
I don't know.
I have mine on Do Not Disturb.
I've had it. I used to put it on airplane mode, and I don't know if the do not, and then that takes the internet off, so we can't
take that internet off. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see airplane, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular. Where's the do not disturb? Come on. Hold on, now I gotta get in here. Can you? I mean, I wish you would just try to send me another email because this.
I can do that. Let me try that.
I asked, so I didn't know if you had redone it or not. And I don't know. Try Bloody Mary Nola at gmail.com. I think that's one as well. And I'm still looking for Do Not Disturb. I thought it was in my regular settings, no?
Bloody Mary Nola.
NOLA at Gmail. See if that one's going to come through. Because the other one is getting other emails, though. So, I don't know.
I think it's actually the spirit. I think they're playing with us.
Please open the way, guys. Come on. I got a doctor's appointment and all kind of things to do today. I want to get
This was such a great interview, too. I really love talking to you. Okay. Yeah. Let's see if it goes through.
All right. Now I got to get back to my... Oh, wait. By the way, you can hear me now, right?
We can hear you,
but we can't see you.
Yeah. And which was the deal to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's a static image, more or less. So maybe you could reuse it.
Okay, Mary, it went through.
I am coming. Got it this time. Definitely did not get it last time.
Yeah, and it says that it went through. So there's something going on.
Okay.
All right, spirits. We're going to win on this one.
All right.
I'd much rather hear you than see you if it makes a difference as to what we get.
Let's see.
All right, let's try this.
Okay.
There we go.
I'm going to turn this one off. Hold on. That way. Come on.
There we go. I kicked you out.
Good. All right, now.
There you go.
There you go. We got a full view. I can go a little farther.
There we go.
Over. Hold on. Let me see something. Missing tooth is here.
I don't see anything at all.
How about if I kind of do the half of my face?
That's good. We'll take whatever we can get from you. This is
I got a new thing to put in today, but I'm starting to list, but haven't used it yet. So I thought it was more important to hear me than to see me. And I don't have a lot of makeup on. But
if you don't feel comfortable being on camera, that's okay. We're just glad that you're with us. And we so appreciate this.
No problem. All right. So now we're going to start over. I'm going to try to stay a little bit off camera. A little bit on. Hey guys, I'm back. Where were we?
We were talking about everything in New Orleans being swampy, and
Everything in New Orleans being different because we weren't part of this country. We were
Mhm.
a displaced European colony in a port town, and we're a big multicultural gumbo with all sorts of beliefs that came in. But they had to blend in and embrace the spirit of place, which is a swamp. Our mother being the Mississippi, who's a big mermaid spirit in the La Serene, in the she's a big mermaid spirit in the Mammy Water family. Mama you is what we call her. So that's the energies here. We're a very mystic town, very party town, but we had the highest mortality rate in North America and America's first red light district. A lot of sex and death going on.
sounds like it.
They both
So
go back to back, you know.
Do you
You know?
is this like, do you believe that voodoo and hoodoo are witchcraft, or are they very different?
No. Hoodoo's closer to witchcraft, I suppose, because hoodoo's about just, the spells. But many say that was just for survival to get some freedoms and things. But no, it's more shamanism.
Okay.
It's more danced. It's more musical. It's more rhythm, different kind of rhythm with the earth, different than witchcraft or Wiccan or whatever you want to compare it to.
Yeah.
It sounds like it brings the elements into it.
Oh, absolutely brings the elements. It's an older religion. Some say the oldest, and it's nature based and way more ancestral reverent, I think, than witchcraft, basing on so much of the ancestors. Though older witchcraft or Wiccan, the crafts would have been ancestral oriented. It's way more with the spirit world. So I have done voodoo paranormal and a long time. I've probably one of the first ones that included or the witchcraft voodoo aspect with the paranormal world, with the witchcraft world, because the witches were very afraid of ghosts 30 years ago when I started talking about this, even 20 years ago. Afraid of the spirits, didn't like the paranormal, afraid of voodoo, in fact, didn't understand it,
I'm not.
Well,
I'm interested in it.
But I mean,
but I was the first one. Let's say I was the first one that came out publicly about it.
Yeah. But the thing about voodoo is what they see in the movies too.
Well, same thing with witchcraft.
And same thing with paranormal investigating. Everything it's demons. Everything. So,
hashtag it's a demon.
Yeah. Everything's hashtag demon. But
dragged down the hall by your hair.
Yeah. I mean, I've been investigating.
That why you lost yours?
That's what happened. They used to pick me up on my hair and run me down the hallway.
Yeah, and there it goes.
Yeah. So I
rough.
think just let it go.
That's why we love doing these podcasts, because we want to educate the public about different religions and different things that are out there. We don't want people to be scared of the paranormal or
no. You should embrace it. I've been teaching that again publicly, professionally, full time for 30 years, but been doing it my whole life.
Thank you for doing that, because I think it's really important.
I haven't been one that believed that you should hide what you do or you believe. There's still a lot of people that don't want other people to know what they believe. But when I first started, most everyone was in the closet about their witchcraft, about their religion, about their belief in spirits. Oh, they're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to talk about you anyway.
You could still be
no
crazy.
What you do, no matter what you do, yeah. And they're going to talk about you whether you do good or bad. So
they'll talk about us no matter what. It doesn't matter anymore.
It's sad, especially now with hiding behind the facade of the internet and the computer. People say, haters.
Yeah. I was on the phone last night with my friends. He told me to say hello, Ron.
Hello. How are they doing?
Yeah, him and Lourdes. I was on the phone with them.
They're very nice, and they came over here. We've done a session or two on StreamYard trying to connect with my spirits in one of my other locations. Now, this is my private haunted home. This is the one that scared the hell out of the Ghost Adventures when they came over.
Really, it's amazing. It's beautiful.
So this is my, altar, my pumpha, my head altar area in the house. I have many different areas, but this is my humfa, my cabildo. So it's my house because it's my personal house, and it's my house
Mhm.
as in my family voodoo family tradition.
So how long has this been in your family?
Oh no, the house is not in the family. I moved into the house. When did I move here? I guess about 25 years ago. So I
Okay.
lived here a while. And through Katrina, my sister practiced voodoo. My mother was a nun before she married my dad, so that wasn't handsome.
No.
She was
Really?
St. Joseph Catholic nun. Many people here went to convent school because we're such a Catholic town. So she did too, and then grew up and eventually got out of it. But,
Mhm.
that was definitely part. So the New Orleans Catholic. My great grandma, she did a little hoodoo or things like that. I don't think anyone actually went so far as a priestess, but all of them were kind of, not all of them, but many of them knew about the spirit world, was a bit into spiritualism, and there was a heavy movement of spiritualism in New Orleans at the late 19th century. My family's been here since 1718, so I've got a deep roots here, and
Mhm.
they kept waking me up when I was a kid, so I kept having to find out why.
It's
There's
very,
always a reason
They
for it.
started it. They started it, not
I say that too.
yeah.
Yeah, and I had to know why. I had
Mhm.
to keep looking, and it just made more sense because talking to the nuns and talking to the Catholics as
Mhm.
things evolved, getting older, they're like, "Oh no, that's wrong. That's evil." They start saying that it wasn't normal. When
Mhm.
growing up, you hear all the stories about the mysticism that's within the saints, things that they do. I mean, they bilocate, they talk to spirits, they see visions. To me, it's like, hey, that's what you're supposed to do. Oh, that doesn't happen anymore. It's like, why not?
Mhm.
Why did it
Mhm.
stop? Well, God doesn't want it to happen anymore. It's like, how do you know that?
Only with the Holy Spirit.
Right. That's a very Protestant thing to say. Are you Protestant?
No, my father is.
Okay. That,
I'm
that
a
so there's no spirit but the Holy Spirit. Everything else is demons. So the Protestants didn't like the Catholics, and the Catholics didn't like the Protestants, and
Mhm.
the Protestants said that everything the Catholics did was idolatry.
Mhm.
And that was only the one spirit, but et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
One guy's got to tell the other guy they're wrong all the time, in
My
order to
my
validate
mom
himself.
my mom was actually Catholic, and she said there are no ghosts, only when Nana shows up.
Yeah, that's the kind of, was she joking?
No, she was dead serious. And
Huh.
the funny thing is, I was a young kid, and I was probably about 4 years old, and I was seeing spirits walking everywhere, and they were trying to force me to go to church, and I always felt very uncomfortable walking into a church. So
Did you
I
see
was
spirits in a church?
sometimes, I mean, I saw them everywhere, so I kept my mouth shut because they would yell at me, or they would tell me that I was lying or it wasn't true. So
I
I
didn't keep my mouth shut.
I hid in the broom closet and I just did my own thing. And then every once in a while I would
On a
mention
broom
it.
and you went flying on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you took the
So
broom out for a spin.
finally, when my mom passed away, she came to visit me and she apologized.
Oh, good. But I mean, there's the irony of it. There's no ghost except when Nana comes.
Except when Nana
That's
Yeah.
just everything in a nutshell right there.
Mhm.
When it's convenient and safe for you, it's okay.
hmm
Otherwise, I mean, I understand saying be cautious. I don't want you to be afraid. And then thinking everything is evil is just bad. you know?
But yeah, everything. Like I said, I've been seeing things since 3 years old. So I've been singing since the early '60s. Give away
Mhm.
my age, but you
Same thing
know, so you're growing up in '60s, '70s, '80s, '90s, 2000. Then like 2004 is when they started letting with the TV shows started saying, "Oh, let's everybody. There's spirits out there now. Let's check out these shows," and that's what opened it
here.
up somewhat. You
My
know,
first ghost show was in 1994.
the
I was
sightings.
I was doing it before the paranormal shows became
Mhm.
popular.
Yeah, I was
I've
doing it too.
I've negotiated and fought and disagreed with hundreds of producers trying to put me or me and my family in a show that they wanted to pigeonhole how it should be. Oh, you can't be voodoo and a ghost. Thank God, yes, you can. Oh no, it should be the male in charge, not the female. Too bad. I'm the one that's the leader, not the husband. They want to try to focus on my kid who was more shy and he was psychic, but he didn't want anything to do with it. So they all have this idea of what it's supposed to be, and they wanted to fit it neatly into a very easy formula that has already been tried and true, so that you fit into the mold, which is is obviously forced. You could tell when something's forced, and between negotiations and promises and them wanting to own you, it just never worked. Did many pilots, and do a lot of other people's shows like Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Lockdown, BuzzFeed Unsolved, some of the bigger ones, and lots of the little ones, So yes, and I have to go to I'm revitalizing in the last year my YouTube at Bloody Mary New Orleans. Please tell everybody out there to go there. I need some new subs. I have 3 of my own haunted locations, of which I am doing inside little mini ghost hunts, interviews with different people. So the inside the old homestead of Marie Laveau, where I'm writing a new book, was the whole first season with different people that are coming there, including Ron and Lords, who kind of stepped in there. And then also some of the shows in my house here and in my haunted museum, which has 13 regular ghosts and my big haunted collection. Much of that haunted collection was here, but moved there when I opened the museum 7 years ago, which is in a very haunted building, 200-year-old building in the French Quarter.
Wow.
So got ghosts that came with the building, ghosts that came with the haunted stuff, and ghosts that come with the guests, right? Because we don't walk away.
Yeah, everybody brings something with them.
Hold on, sorry, I thought I'd turn this thing off. They want to come through. They didn't want to come through before. Turn off phone.
So you've actually been on NBC Universal, Sci-Fi, Travel Channel, Discovery, CNN, History.
About 1,000.
So much more. You have so much going on. You also run haunted tours, seances, ghost hunts, do them public, private, or via luxury vans. You do day or night tours. You also have a haunted museum. You allow people to tour your 200-year-old haunted site or your own private home. You entertain at private events. You also have a shop where you have people taking classes. They can receive readings or purchase items, including something from your voodoo doll making bar.
Well, you get a doll.
It's so amazing.
I'll do some classes that have a doll bar, so it's a fully functioning. I do party planning. I do weddings. I do a lot of haunted weddings, Wiccan weddings, voodoo weddings, all different kinds of weddings, rituals. Do tons of seances, and we do ghost hunts with equipment, and both psychic investigations and with equipment. I teach you how to open up your own intuitiveness, which I think is the most important part of all of it, to try to use the equipment as a supplement, not as an end all and everything, supplement your own, and so that you trust your own intuition, but it's important just in daily life, not just ghost hunting, right? Not to be afraid and to develop what you've got inside.
So when I talk to people, we do a speech, whatever, I always tell them that your best tool in your box is your intuition.
Yeah, is what did you say?
Your intuition.
Oh yeah, I say you are your best paranormal instrument. You don't need battery, but it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, because I mean, how many people they buy all this equipment, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment, and it's really one thing inside of you.
I do that for them.
You know what I mean?
Because I could do it just as easy with no equipment, right?
Yeah,
yeah, me too.
At least open up and trust. And you have to do both. You have to.
They like I always say they like the lights and the whistles.
Bells and whistles. Yeah.
You have to draw them in with the lights and the whistles for them to listen to you.
it makes it fun for them. That's the
equipment in there.
Well, from what I found out over the years, the people that feel that they are just flatline, that they have no intuitiveness, they still get to participate through
Mhm.
that. I tell them they're wrong, that
Mhm.
they have some. It just has to come out.
Yeah.
And it will, and a lot of, unfortunately, what people don't realize is a lot of things that happens with those instruments is their own mind. It's their own self influencing it and making it happen.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean the ghosts aren't there, but after a while, intentionally or unintentionally, you're affecting the equipment. You know,
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
Your higher consciousness.
yeah. I mean, you just
Mhm.
are. You want something to light up? Hey, you know,
Yeah, it's yeah, you do it yourself.
moves your psychometry, teleportation. I mean, there's
Mhm.
things that happen. That's the
Mhm.
whole concept behind being a physical medium as well.
Yeah.
Maybe people don't consider themselves mediums when they're using electronic devices, but
Mhm.
they can make something happen, or maybe make something knock, like the Fox sisters. There's things
Yes.
out there, but it doesn't mean that's why it's so hard to prove the paranormal. You can get evidence, but the actual proof, no matter how wonderful, it can
Mhm.
always be rebutted.
Mhm.
It always
And
will be, yeah. That's
it's
what I
the
like.
personal, it's only your personal knowing and experience that will
Mhm.
make you believe. You
Yeah.
can't explain that to someone.
Mhm.
It's got to happen. And
Mhm.
so where I am, we have a lot of experiences. People get touched, people get grabbed, they hear things, they see things, they know things that they don't usually do. They get visions, and many even professional paranormal investigators who don't think they have intuition or psychic abilities, when they do things with me, they say, "Well, this doesn't happen to me." I was like, "Well, you got to let it happen." And that's kind of me. I help people. I'm a booster. I'm a psychic booster, I guess, to help them have that. And it's
Mhm.
been my full-time job for 30 years. So I say it's different. Even though I've done it my whole life, it's absolutely different when you start to do something full-time from part-time.
Mhm.
And when I live with the spirits, it's not like I do a one-night stand, I say, like the ghost hunters go into a house for one day, maybe a day and a half, and then they run on their merry way. I'm living with them day in and day out, like you're living with this guy. You know his habits. He knows your habits. But they're not the same every day. One day she wants to hang out and have a good time. One day she wants you to tell you, get the hell away from her, right? I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
same thing with the ghosts. They're not always there. They're not always active. They're not always in the mood. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's okay.
Uh-huh.
They're not on the payroll. That's why.
I've been putting my drawing. I've been drawing everything now. I've been seeing. I've been doing
Oh,
that for
that's good. I
years.
wish I could do that. I can't draw.
I've been doing it for years, and not to. I have like hundreds and hundreds of pictures, but not to last year. Somebody talked me into like, why don't you show your pictures? And we have like a little arch thing. I'm like, I'll give it a shot. I come like with 100 pictures. I would put them on the show, and everybody seemed to like it. So now when I do the Paracons, I start putting that out there too. The spirit art, we call it.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I can't draw, but I
Mhm.
know other people that I do have a sketch artist, so to speak. I
Yeah.
do great ghost photography. I had my ghost photo gallery at art in 18. What am I talking about? In 1998, 1999, I had opened that, and I also had a friend who could draw better than me, try
Mhm.
to sketch from the pictures to fill in the ectoplasm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just sit there if you can, if you're quick, if you can be
Mhm.
the ghost caricature artist, if you see them and can sketch it, that's great on the
Mhm.
spot. But yeah,
Yeah.
you see them different ways, and yeah, sketching is good. Are you a blood and gore person, or you see them like regular?
I can see them both. I
I
see
don't
them
usually get
regular. I do see regular. I have seen stuff that you're like, whoa, what happened to you? You
Yeah,
know.
I don't. I found over the years other people that come in contact with spirits, especially the people that seem to be afraid or disgusted, are always only seeing the blood and gore.
Mm.
I would say I don't see like the way they died. I mean, I might if it was drastic and they haven't faced it or
Yeah.
gone on yet. But in general, I don't see the tubes up their nose.
Hmm.
I contact their soul and where they are in their growth now.
Yes. Yeah.
So that you can help them and they can help you. So I don't, a lot of people, oh, I'm afraid because I see you haven't seen what I've seen. And like, well, I've seen a lot, but
I feel it. I feel the way they passed away. And I'll see something play out kind of like a movie, or I'll hear a connection of what their name is or who they were in life or whatever, which it's painful. It's really painful to connect that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I see blood and gore, it's usually somewhere like on a battlefield or somewhere with something like that.
Heavy imprint.
Yeah.
Heavy. Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I mean, there's just those certain people that are mediums or ghost hunters that say, they always see like the monstrous, and that's why they run.
They shouldn't be that
way. I don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it should be like that. No, because that should go away soon after death. Your total attachment. Of course, they have the ability to change the way they look and appear to you. So if for some reason they could feel that you're expecting that, maybe that's what you get. Or if they're afraid of you, maybe they always want to be in the mode. I don't know. But I fortunately don't have to, see it that way.
No.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that way always.
I've seen them in suffering, and like in Penhurst, I seen the child in the corner naked, like shivering and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that helps. Yeah, I've seen like a baby just so sad, baby just like covered in sweat and just turn, it's like a terrible sickly yellow color, and it was it was just really sad. So I did what I could to cross, and then it kind of you start crying and reaching out like a regular baby, but he was still in that moment of the plague of yellow fever, and it was sad.
It's terrible.
But I don't always have to get it that way, but he needed to be released from that moment, and I was bad after he's reaching out, but I was like, oh, we couldn't have you like that.
I've seen at the Hinsdale house a woman actually setting a baby on fire, and then that freaked me out.
Gosh,
that's one that really freaked me out bad, but I left and came back, and then I came back and I seen the baby, just the ash, what was left of the baby. And that was in, when it comes to children and stuff like that, that bothers me more than.
Was that something you found was real, or was that a vision that someone gave to you to get you out of there? What is that? I don't know the history of the Hinsdale.
Well, what happened was, it's weird because I actually drew the picture of what I've seen, and a year later, well, not even a year, I just found out this year, and I drew that in 2016, and Dan, the owner of Hinsdale House, we did the Paracon. He was doing a Paracon, and his table was next to mine, so I showed him, and he goes, that carriage was left on the doorstep of their place because somebody said it was a woman kept on appearing in front of it. So the people left it in front of the house. They bought it in an estate sale. The people bought it in an estate sale and just donated it to Hinsdale House because it had activity. And the reason they left it there because they said they seen a woman in white standing next to the baby carriage all the time. And I drew the picture, woman in white.
Right.
And he goes, that's what they're seeing. That's what they saw. But then I get one step beyond where I seen the baby being actually attacked.
Yeah.
Which was,
terribly sad.
Yeah. So,
but to make it, if it was in a baby carriage.
Yeah. It was like an old 50, the 60s baby carriage with the springs and everything, those big tires.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, what do you say is the thing that people come to you for the most? Is it like love spells?
Yeah.
Or hexes?
I don't do hexes. More people want love spells. I mean, that's the number one reason everyone reaches out to craft or anything is love spells. And that's the number one reason why people get ripped off so much, because they're desperate to do anything, trust anything, and people will promise them the world. I refuse to do that for people. Love is one of the most convoluted and complicated, processes. I can usually reestablish communication, but if you don't change your patterns, you're going to have issues, and why do you want this one person? I know that's, trendy these days. Oh, twin souls and soulmates, but your soul family can include your enemies, so you shouldn't be with everyone. However, that is the number one reason that people call. And if I can get them to let loose of playing God and just say that they want their true love or the right person with them, you have a better chance because you're not limiting or forcing someone to do something you don't want
Mhm.
to. So that means I want to work with you on the big picture, not just the symptoms. But
Mhm.
most people are I only want this and I want him and it's got to be and that's that. So if they're not willing to let go, to let things come through,
Mhm.
it's just not something I care to work with anymore. I have
Mhm.
love kits, I have simple things, I have candles I burn for you. But all these people out there that say guaranteed within 48, like la da da da, and they want all this money, they're setting you up, and it's sad how much ripoffs there are out there, and I don't want to be involved with it.
Mhm.
If I keep you maintained. So I guess teaching, connecting with their loved ones. I do a lot of seance lately. And I'm trying to teach people how to open up to their intuition. So we do half seance, half ghost hunt so that you can have both. So I guess these days more people are calling me for that and for healing because I do big picture healings, physical and, spiritual, to get you back on track. And I'm
That's
starting to do more, I guess, um, certifications and I hate to say these words, but I'm going to say it, master classes, just because it's the buzzword that everybody picks about the frickin' COVID, right? That I'm doing intensives for like 2 day overnights and little, initiation processes. I'm starting to do more retreats. It's
Mhm.
where I
nice.
want to go, where I want to go, you know.
That's really
Mhm.
nice. So when you
That's
marry a couple, do they come to you or do you go to them?
They usually come to me. Oh yeah, I don't go to them.
So they come to your
You're
home.
not necessarily licensed to do it in every state. You've got to be licensed in every state to do a wedding, which I guess you can do through the mail, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. So I can
But I
do it.
mean, do they come to your home to get married, or do you go to
They come to
other?
I have my museum. They get married in the museum. I have a gorgeous Creole courtyard. But I
I
also do weddings in cemeteries, and I do weddings out under the oak trees by the bayou with the dangling of the moss. And I can
That's
come to your hotel, and
Mhm.
I've done them here at my house and at my museum, and now can do them in the cottage of Marie Laveau. Small ones, we're small ones.
Mhm.
I've rented that out. So I have locations, but I also come to other people. But I don't necessarily travel really, really far for
Mhm.
timing, for finances, and for the fact that you have to re-register in different states.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The doll behind you, Mary Laval.
Yeah.
Yes. Is there something else inside her? Is there some sort of? Because I'm feeling something from there. That's the weird thing. I'm getting like a vibrating vibe from there.
A vibrating vibe. Uh,
Vibrating vibe. Yeah.
uh, well, the spirit chose that vessel to go in. I saw her
Mhm.
go in.
Really? Okay.
She is wearing my queen belt and my gator tooth blessed necklace that I take off, and so she comes to certain rituals with me. I'm a priestess in the tradition of Marie Laveau, queen in New Orleans voodoo, as well as Haitian
Mhm.
voodoo, as well as Congo voodoo, as well as Mama Easy, many titles. But I saw her like go in this one herself. So I brought
Okay.
her and danced with her at certain rituals, which is kind of tradition at,
Mhm.
in many different forms of voodoo. But she chose that one herself. Now I don't believe she's in there every minute.
Mhm.
I believe that they come in and out like changing clothes when
Yeah.
they go in vessels or dolls. But she
Mhm.
liked this one and chose it on her own. So there's nothing in her like that I made. There's no activation thing. She just chose that vessel.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause
just
I just got like a vibration
yeah,
from
she's in there. She's in
there.
there. But
Yeah.
she's
All right.
not there's nothing that I have in her besides whatever.
Yeah. I believe that
Vessels.
dolls can be vessels. So
Yeah.
I believe in all that. Plus, she was the most powerful uh, voodoo priestess
Voodoo
ever.
Queen.
She
Voodoo Queen.
queen, voodoo
Queen
queen.
is the New Orleans term. Mambo is the Haitian term. Yaya is the Congo term. You know, there's different terms in different versions of voodoo. Most powerful, most known, most connected, most historic. She's kind of evolved to be the patron saint over New Orleans and the local Loa, or, you know, spirit in charge in New Orleans, especially in New Orleans voodoo. So she was everything. She had a very strong, she was a political activist. She was a female, you know, activist. She worked with women, women's power. She worked with the church. She was a nurse. She worked with prison reform. I mean, she was all involved, and so was her family.
The
Her
actual Marie Laveau.
Yeah, her mother and grandmother before her, as well as one or two of her children. You know, so this was passed down, and it left a very strong, leaves a very strong mark here that can be tapped on. And pre-COVID, her tomb was the #1 visited tomb in the country in St. Louis 1. Now, when they closed that down after after COVID, they reopened it only under their jurisdiction with a partner company that will read their script, the Catholic's version of the script. So you get a catechism tour, you know, of the cemetery of X amount of tombs in a little loop through the visitor center there. But so it's not visited as much as it was when so many
Interesting.
different companies, like I toured there for 30 years. Now I can still go visit there because I have a family pass. I just don't bring tours in there anymore. And then that St. Louis 2 closed when St. Louis 1 reopened under their thing. So that's changed, but she may still well hold the title of #1 visited tomb. You know, some people would joke and think it was Elvis because Elvis is buried at Graceland, but with the staggering amount of numbers that were reported after the Catholics actually started collecting from us for 3 years of each person, they have actual count of how many heads go in there. Oh, she beat Elvis like a pulp.
This is a question not to be rude or condescending. This is solely because I want to know for educational purposes. Everything that you talked about with her makes her sound like a very strong woman who was very kind and considerate. So
yeah, I'm gonna make a dumb quote about American Horror Story.
No, I don't even watch it. But what we all know of her makes her not sound like that. So what is the truth of her?
Maybe you, because you've never done any real research, or you've only listened to Hollywood. That's why I said
that's
American Horror Story version. Anyone in town here will say the opposite.
Okay, so that's why I'm asking, because I really don't know, and I have only, you know, read about certain things. So that's why I want to clarify for the viewers. And for everyone.
No. She was doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, all rolled into one. She did matchmaking and some spell work, but she was very politically. She took care of a lot of babies, a lot of children, a lot of everything. American Horror Story and other things like that try to make her, you know, first of all, it's voodoo, you know, so they tried to put that down. Second of all, she's a woman. Catholic Church wasn't so happy that a voodoo woman was getting the most attention in their cemetery than anyone else. But, you know, she was a devout Catholic as well, and times were different back then, right? She was incredible, heavy, you know, political and activist in many, many ways, and a healer. Nobody ever took away her soft side. But again, it's that whole jealousy thing. They say things about me right in front of my face. It's like, really? You know, they make up things. When you don't understand something and you're threatened by it, people, you know, people will put you down. And then I think it was some early 20th century authors who start writing this whole thing about having, you know, her daughters who followed in her footsteps and that she never died, and her, you know, and
she had slaves chained and she, you know, left the house burning.
No one ever said that. No one ever in the world ever said that. That's American Horror Story, with you getting her confused with Madame LaLaurie. Two totally different people. So in the last 5 years, nobody said her ever having slave chain. That's because word LaLaurie, Laveau, you're getting the wrong person totally.
Okay, good to know. Glad I heard that.
Bates played the role in American Horror Story of a rich socialite white woman who was known to have tortured her slaves. A fire broke out at her house. They were exposed. She ran out of town and died in Paris. Totally different woman, totally different side of town. Should never, ever have crossed paths with Marie Laveau.
Okay, you guys heard it
American
here.
Horror Story. It's American Horror Story.
Mhm.
People get the names confused only because of the law.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lori, Laveau. There's a lot of la-la-las here.
La Lorna.
You who have never seen American Horror Story should never have heard that. So where did you hear that from? No, you don't know?
Well, I know people who watch it.
Okay, so they talk to you. Well,
Yeah, of course.
Laveau was
That's
Free
why I
Women of
wanted to
Color.
clarify it.
Yeah, Marie Laveau was born in, but see, nobody would have ever said that before that show came out. It's my point.
And being someone who, like you know, have been talked about and have had untruths told, I want to get the true story. That's why this is.
I mean, that's my point. I've been doing that for years with her. That's the new book that's coming out. But there's been many, many, many very good biographies that have come out with her in the past 15 years that show the reality of it. So especially anyone in mystical world would have known more of the truth. The whole thing about Madame LaLaurie is a different person. I mean, that's just a name confusion. One was a rich white woman. One was a middle-class free woman of color. Both born in New Orleans. That's about it. And they pretended like they knew each other. They probably didn't. You know, they were in the same town at the same time. But, you know, actually, LaLaurie moved out of town in 1832 or 1834. And that's just around the time Marie Laveau was coming into her power. Now, Marie Laveau was born in New Orleans in 1801, died in 1881. She had a house on St. Anne Street. She had a free man of color that she was married to that lasted a very short amount of time. He disappeared, died of yellow fever, and then she married she lived with a white man, which she proceeded to have many, many other children from. Marie Laveau's grandmother was a freed slave, built a cottage on St. Anne. So ex-slaves and free people of color owned property and did occasionally own their own slaves, which would have basically just worked in the house. Contrary to modern times, slaves were not always abused. The unique thing about Madame LaLaurie was her abuse. I mean, they weren't, in a way, you could say that all slavery is abuse. But there were certain laws of what you could and what you couldn't do. And there were certain protections, healing rights, burial rights, Social Security, hospitalization, kind of things that were built into the slave trade that were here. So some may have treated you very kind. Some may have treated you very bad. LaLaurie was the worst. She had one or two slaves at different times who were probably just house servants that lived and worked with her and pretty much were brought up like children. So some say she bought slaves just to free them, but that's not true. They worked in the house, and she might have wanted to get them out of a particular situation. That's what the thought was. But, you know, we had plantations here that were run by people of color that had full slaves working. But she did not abuse anyone or anything. They don't like the magic, so they talk bad about, you know, she did this and she did that. But she was an incredible yellow fever nurse. So, yeah, there's many good biographies. Look at Carolyn Long's biography for a more true depiction of her life and what she did in documentation. My book, Hauntings, Horrors, and Dancing with the Dead, is a very realistic look at what she did magically, spiritually, her sightings as a ghost, as well as how I still tap into her power for healing and hurricane rituals and other things like that. So she's kind of like my GA, you know, or guardian angel, or she's one of my spirit guides. And in voodoo, when you're embedded with a particular person, it's called a matet, at least in Haitian voodoo, that you have certain spirits that are more deeply embedded, a spirit guide or a matet. Lots of different names for this. So she is all of that. And she's a patron saint over New Orleans. So patron saint of New Orleanians, doctors, lawyers, nurses, politicians. She had her hand in everything at a time period when things were very rough. I mean, she lived through all the plagues. She lived through the Civil War with all this, you know.
Yeah, one thing about the Civil War.
It makes her mad, and it makes me mad when people, after all this time of the truth coming out, are going back to these ridiculous beliefs because of American Horror Story.
Well, New Orleans actually had the first they actually fought for the North during the Civil War. They actually had black troops.
They didn't.
Black troops.
Yeah, but they didn't fight for the North. No, we were captured early on in the Civil War, so we had, that here, and some of the black men were allowed to enlist. Some enlisted in the South, some enlisted in the North. I mean, it's like you had one son that went here and one son that went there. They were promised freedom if they enlisted. So a small amount of men did actually enlist and do this out for the North. You have to realize that a lot of the people here were property owners. So they didn't actually fight. So that's a misnomer. They worked as cooks and a variety of things in the army itself, but they didn't actually go to the front lines. There was no fighting that they did. They fought together here in the Battle of New Orleans in the War of 1812 with everyone side by side, black, white, free, slave. It didn't matter. But they didn't fight, but they were told if they joined the North that they would be guaranteed, no matter who won, their freedom. So there was a group that did. In fact, I visit their tomb quite a lot. But there were some that actually fought on the side of the South too, because you said like everyone else, a lot of people in the North would have one son that worked for the South, worked for the Confederates, and one that worked for the Union, because you wanted one to come home. And even though that's not a guarantee, that if one son was the other one, that was the idea behind it. Brother fighting brother was the sad part ripping across the country. So they could have, let's put it that way, joined either side, but there was a grouping that was promised freedom no matter what.
Okay.
And I think some of the free people of color did officially enlist. But see, the free people of color class here owned property. They were fighting for their property and their land. And we had mixed bloods here long before the early rest of the country. So we had people that might have been what they called at the time octroon, 1/8 black, who were extremely light skinned, who may have infiltrated into either side, not knowing, that they were black, because we didn't separate it that way here yet, not till after the Civil War.
Okay.
Very interesting. So much.
I got misinformation from the.
Well, it's not misinformation. You just use the word fight. They enlisted in the Union. A group of slaves that enlisted with the North, yes, but they unfortunately weren't allowed to fight. I think they should have been allowed to fight if they were going to be put in it, but they were cooks and a variety of other things that were shown. But there were a few that fought on the side of the Confederacy as well, maybe more light-skinned free people of color.
Okay.
I think that
they have a very unique history. You'd have to not go into great detail to find out, more.
I was just going to mention that, because I think that there's a problem with our history classes, especially in the North.
What history classes?
Well, that's the point. I don't think that we learn it.
Why would they give you the great detail of a small area of Louisiana? We have Louisiana history as well as whatever U.S. history. So we grew up being more exposed to knowing a little bit about the slave trade, a little about voodoo from our edge. Slavery is always oppression. It's always horrible. But it was not the same everywhere. For whatever that's worth, it's good to know the nuances. And it was because of the greater freedoms that existed here, and the fact that we were Catholic, that voodoo was allowed to grow. And it grew side by side with the colony, and everyone ended up dabbling in an aspect of it. It was in our food, in our culture, in our music. It was here. And we didn't have segregation as you know it until after the Americanization, and wasn't even forced upon us until really after the Civil War. It was growing. So you can't look at things with presentism. You can't look at things with the little blurbs that they give you in the history book. There's a lot of nuances here that people don't get. My mom said that, the neighborhoods were checkerboard. I mean, everybody kind of lived next door to each other. My grandma, my great-great-grandma, and my great-great-great-grandma were directly across from Marie Laveau. My grandmother was born in that house by the local midwife, of which she and her daughters that followed were still part of that whole grouping. So they were living side by side.
That's why it means so much to you then.
Because my family's been here so much and all of that. Yeah, I feel like I'm one of the mouthpieces to keep certain histories alive. And same thing with the ghosts. Ghosts are our history. To keep
Mhm.
their stories alive in the museum, to keep their mementos alive, to have it like a sanctuary if they want to come and go. No one is bound there, except by their own choice, if they choose. And we try to work with them. So yeah, there's a lot of misunderstanding about paranormal investigators, about spirit workers. I have been nicknamed by a colleague the necrotherapist because I don't just counsel the people about the ghosts, but also the ghosts themselves. If they have a friend, so I play music to calm them down. We give them gifts, and that's
Mhm.
where the voodoo paranormal comes in because you treat them like they're still your family. They like the cigars, they like the liquor, they like the candy. They get physical gifts.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're in good mood, sometimes they're not. I mean, you can bring them out of their shell, help them understand and see things, and they can help you too. It's a two-way street. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
Protect the building when I'm not home.
Yeah.
You're gonna haunt the place, do something.
Mhm.
Like watch the door.
And
Break in my keys.
You're
we've
not
actually
paying any rent.
we've talked about that many times, that investigators who or researchers who are trying to get information to see what is in the next dimension or the other side or
Right.
whatever anybody thinks, that they walk in and they're like, how'd you die? That's not the best way to approach them. Ask what their favorite music is or what their favorite dance was, or
I mean, if they're obsessed with their death and need to talk about it, that's fine. But yeah, the questions that people ask are, they're the same ones all the time. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't always say that. I'll ask.
Oh, who's
I'll ask them, hey, where's the treasure? Like you got something
Mhm.
else to share. But yeah, no, I play music for them and I note the
Yeah.
difference, what they like, what they don't like. I ask them what they want me to bring. I ask them what kind of mood they're in. Is there
Mhm.
anything you need to say to the world to get up? Is there anything I could do for you? It's always,
Mhm.
what can I do for you? But other people want to know, how'd you die? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's not what they want to talk about. If that was the worst thing that
And
happened to them in their
maybe
lives.
some of them want to,
Mhm.
it could be, if he's trying to get something off their chest or something wasn't kosher about the way they died.
Right.
They may, but I mean, I don't go up to them and ask them that. I mean, that's
I
actually
would
not.
never.
It's not that I would never. I guess it's just not
Well,
really the first thing that's curious in my mind on how'd you die. It's like, how you doing? Is there anything we can
mhm.
do? And occasionally, can you say this? Can you do that? Show me what you need. You know,
Mhm.
can you help
Yeah.
the election? I've asked the local ones, do
Lottery
something
numbers.
about this mayor, man. Do something. If you got any power, do something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they lived in an area, they still care. They built the house you're in.
Mhm.
They probably care. They don't like renovation because they don't like what you're doing.
Oh,
You're busting
Mhm.
the joint up. You're changing the way they was. You have to ask permission. You have to let them in on it. Renovation, and they still may disagree and cause issues. I mean, they don't like certain renovations. I mean, God, my spirits hated central air, but I wanted it. I was in that battle no matter what.
well,
But
that's because it blows that sheet around a little too much.
I I give them options. You don't like this color? What color do you want? Show me what you want. I'll give a little.
Mhm.
But oh my God, no, the window units just ain't doing it, dude. They didn't want the holes cut in this attic, and
It's sweaty there in Louisiana.
yeah, it's like, yeah, no, we're getting it.
Yeah.
So they probably would hate solar panels too, but
Probably.
You got. I mean, yeah. Because you got to understand. I know when people say to me like, why sometimes they're negative and stuff. I say put yourself in this situation. You're sitting on your couch, and a group of people come in, and they start asking you questions, and I'm thinking like, who are you?
yeah.
Who are you who come into my house?
First thing I have people do is introduce themselves.
That's what I.
Very first thing. What would you wear when you walk in the door, like you would at anybody's house? Very first thing I always do. And then
Mhm.
I hear certain people writing books and doing things, trying to tell people how to deal with spirits. They say, never say their name. Always say their name if you know it. Always say your name. Say their name. You know, if you say their name, they might follow you. It's like, yeah, be polite. Treat them like you would in life. Yes, I am so-and-so. Nice to meet you. You know? So they say they're not always in the mood. They don't always want company. Yeah, and not only just asking them questions, but come in and start challenging them.
Be polite.
That's ridiculous. Yes.
Yeah, let's walk into my house and start calling me something, you know, and then eventually someone turns around and and punches you, let's say, and you say, demon. It's like,
Yeah, no, you just piss somebody off. That's what happens. You know,
some people say, oh, I only do that if they're bad. It's like, well, you don't know if they're bad. You don't know the situation. You don't start off with that. You don't start off with that assumption that they're evil and they deserve to be screamed at. I said, I might have the approach that I'll knock gently on the door. It might take them a little longer to respond, but I'm developing a relationship with the spirits. I'm not just doing the one night stand that I could come in, bang the door, and trying to get a quick response.
Yeah,
I'd be really ornery if I was naked, hiding in a house, and it was my own, and somebody was screaming, "It's demons! Get out here!" You know?
Oh, would you go kick him in the butt if you had the opportunity? Would you go?
If I was the ghost, hell yeah!
Scratch him? Sure, I know how to scratch. Sure, there you go. I mean, I've scratched people in my life. My little sister asked her when we were kids. We scratched the hell out of each other. I'm not a demon, but she probably thought I was. If you're some people get scratched or some people feel some kind of physical touch, it doesn't mean that they're attacking you. I'm a practical joker in life. I'm a pain in the ass sometimes, sarcastic. I would absolutely do the same thing as a ghost. Sure. I'm going to pull tricks on you. I'm going to hide things. I'm going to get even.
I got a list. When I'm gone, I got a list. Back.
Tell you that.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to just sit there and be bored. I'm probably going to do something and move things around. I don't know. I'm going to get attention.
I've been getting. I just had it, and I had it a couple times. I just got ringing. Like I said, I'm getting something off the doll. And in my left ear, it's like a ringing, and then it start, and then it stop. It's weird.
Hold on.
I don't know.
Let me get her up close. Hello, Marie.
Hello,
our friend there wants to see you. Can you give him a psychic message? What is the message you were trying to give to him or give to me through him? What might it be? That be her.
I have ringing too. I've had ringing.
Hello. Can we talk? Do you have something to tell me?
Marie, these are our friends who are interviewing us here today. You got my gator tooth and a little blue cord that I use in ritual. Blue was the color that the head priestess or the queen wore. So anyway, so hello.
Hello.
She's really pretty. I like she's pretty eyes.
You got a pretty dress there. I like that dress. And your little flowers around the head. I like that.
Sometimes I've got a white scarf around her head like a bandana, and sometimes other things. But she comes with me out to the lake on St. John's Eve on June 23rd. And she comes out to the yard when I do hurricane rituals, anti-hurricane rituals. She had to do a lot of those in her day too. So there are weather events that we try to help, bring the rain when it's a drought, stop the winds when it's a big storm or the floods. So there are many things that she would have done like that, as well as problems, love. She did a lot of love rituals. That was one of her things. One of the things that she was known for, the mistress of amour. She did matchmaking. She did love rituals. She did a lot of things. Unfortunately, going back to that, I mean, these days people call 20 different people. You've got 20 different people, maybe 10 of which actually did something. 10 just took their money, and then you got to come in and try to undo or weave in between them to help them. And it's just the desperation that forces that. And then they spend all their money. It's just sad. But she
Yeah.
did a lot of love rituals in her day. Here's more of my, I'll give her that. Maybe she'll be happy now. Here. That's the rest of the blue cord. There you go. You got more cordage. Go. Excuse me.
There's a, yeah.
There you go.
Since we've been on, I'm getting like something stomach related.
Are you pregnant?
Hell no. I'm too old for that.
We worked a lot with babies and pregnancies. So like,
No, this is more like digestive.
Yeah, but like we were saying before with the spirit and stuff, even when we leave locations, I always say thank you for.
Oh no, I open and close gates. I use a full ceremonial.
I try. I mean, there's too many people who come in.
And on top of saying goodbye, you need to say, "I'll see you again." That's when they don't follow you. They know that you're coming back or someone else is coming back. They don't feel just abandoned. So in the cemeteries, I find
that's what I always say. I said, we'll be back.
Yeah,
we'll be back.
They don't feel like they're just hit and miss. But absolutely. But I open gates and close gates ceremony through, of course, the controversial Papa Legba, Papa Laba. So I do open and close gates. But I tell people you don't have to, and you shouldn't use, with my ceremonial spirits that I'm an initiated priestess in, but the same thing, simplify it to your Ouija board and the fears associated. Hello, goodbye. Right? I mean, it's very simple. You knock on the door when you come in and you say hello and you say good night when you leave. I mean, it's just, protocol. It's just manners. Yeah. I mean,
that's right.
You forget that they're people and not a scientific experiment.
Correct.
Just simple protocols will protect you by being, courteous.
That's, and when I go in with a positive attitude, and you go in, you talk to them and everything, I get more evidence that way.
You don't go in angry. You don't start arguments while you're there. You don't fight with the people you're with. You don't do
an investigation with me. She sees how I am. I just go in there nice and calm. Everybody else is like trying to get. If I get evidence, I get evidence. If I don't, I don't.
Well, that's the thing. All these shows make you seem like they're not sitting there for 12 hours to get it down to that. You have to be patient. You have to sit down, let them trust you or get to know you too. It's. I don't know why people think it's different than our world here.
That's all that they see. That's the problem. That's all that they see on the shows.
Yeah, well, they don't realize that they're there for hours and hours, and then they get a half-hour show or hour show,
or days.
Yeah, for days at a time to get a little piece.
It's not all excitement. It can be. One of the funny things that I was here was that Ghost Adventures to bring that show in was supposed to, I guess, spend the night or something, right? They come in, they do the B-roll, they interview you, and I opened the gates when I left, and I was supposed to go somewhere and come back later that night or the next day. And I hadn't even gotten there and sat down when they called me back within 45 minutes. I'm like, whoa, y'all, because we didn't need more than that. It's like, well, that's rare that happens, Yeah. So they were standing on the front porch and wouldn't come back in until I held their hand. They were scared. They were visibly scared, and it made me giggle that they were that dramatically affected so quickly. They got EVPs, they got FU, they got books thrown at them, attacked by a wild boar, the skull cursed Aaron. I don't know. All this in like 45 minutes was just nonstop, not needing editing. Okay, I said, so it can happen. Okay, but it usually doesn't. So it's not like that for me all the time here. Yeah, it would be hard to live in it, but I've had, it comes in waves. I might have weeks of nonstop stuff and then nothing for months and then weeks. It's weird, and triggers. Different people are triggers. Not only because of their mediumship or psychic abilities, but you look like somebody they know. You got kick-ass tattoos. You got big tatas. You know, they like that kind of stuff. The more scantily clad people I get that come on tour, I have noted over the years in New Orleans, as people go in costumes and half naked all the time, that they definitely going to get more attention. And why? Well, they get more attention on the physical plane. They get more attention on the spiritual plane. Like
they're just like people. They're people without a suit. They like what they like. That's it.
Yeah, my children gravitate towards teachers and young mother. You know, I'll say, what do you do for a living? I've tested it over the years, and I'll know which one the spirit's going to go to more. You know, different things. You know, and sometimes it's out of left field. Sometimes it's
children and animals come to me a lot.
We have a lot. Yeah, I have a bunch of ghost animals. I have a ghost horse and 2 ghost cats at the museum. I have 2 ghost dogs, a ghost, 2 ghost cats, 2 ghost dogs, and a ghost snake here in my house. The snake was unexpected. It was my pet snake. One of the dogs came as a Katrina rescue accidentally from the spirit plane. And one of the dogs was mine, and the cats were both mine. And the cat downtown could possibly be mine, but there's 2 cats. One came with a cat mummy that I got at an oddity show, and one was already there. So, and the horse was in the back stables area. That's now a small apartment.
Wow, horse.
So we got ghost animal. And yes, in my seances, you will see how many your pets are still with you. Not every minute they're in your house. They still, not maybe all your pets. Yeah. You know, we had way less ghosts after Katrina than before Katrina. It was just the opposite when I got here after being gone for the 3.5 weeks. It was flatlined. There was no energy, no life whatsoever. It was just a ghost town with no feeling, just creepy as shit with the vacancy of it all. However, the ghost animals were everywhere. And when I got to my house, they all found me. I did like animal rescue of the ghost kind. Ghost cats, ghost dogs, ghost frogs in my house, in my bed, neighbors seeing them, extended family members seeing them. So many died so quickly. They were stuck close.
That breaks my heart.
Terrestrial plane. They were easier to kind of, but
Snow White.
it was just, they were everywhere.
Aww.
And then the people, I believe, many of them evacuated with their families, and others were kidnapped, but that's a whole other story, a whole other book. So, yeah, it was just the flat line, the lack of energy was what was so weird.
Do you think everything was so negative because of the rushing and trying to get out, and because it was such a terrible tragedy that it was just kind of like even the spirits left?
No, I really do think that many of them left with their families who evacuated, kind of stayed with them. And then others were kind of sucked out, so to speak. But it took a long time for people in energy to come back, 3-5 years, a long time. So that there was no light here. There was no laughter. There was no thing. But we were 80% swamp again. We had, you know, the whole city went back to its original marshland kind of way. So it was such dirty, disgusting, sludgy crap too. You know, everything burst, everything went through. So that it was kind of like an explosion in the dimensions too, and things creeped in from all over the place. It was very weird. I say no ghosts, but the dark side certainly was having a hell of a time. Other things made it through, and not demons. More primordial bottom feeder type of stuff.
Just dark entities.
Yeah, they were almost not plural, but yeah, like it was like a hive being.
Yeah,
it was not pretty, but it wasn't. They didn't. The dark side needs the light. The light side needs the dark. When either one of them is out of balance, chaos is the result. So we didn't have the dark craved some of the laughter too. It was just released, hungry, and ready. You know, well, it was not nice. I think it was a 3-year-long battle on that one, but it was exactly not what I would have expected. I would have expected energetic chaos and running into all this instead of this.
It's almost like when they come to visit, they leave a dimension to come here to visit just as much as they are there. But because they didn't have anything that was enjoyable here, they just decided to stay gone.
I've never thought that. I look at everything as a fluid matrix, back and forth. Different areas easier to come through. But I think there was a lot of things to enjoy here, and that's why they're here. I think
it just sounds so dark.
Huh?
It just sounds so dark. Like there wasn't any.
Oh, you're talking about then, not in general. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there was no light to help balance and create it. It was a primordial being that was hungry. It was mindless. It was amoral. It wasn't biblical. It was just like this bottom feeder that was, going around and sucking things, all we were was a big giant city of living mold in houses, unoccupied, and just, you drive by and look, and there was like something creeping inside looking out, but it wasn't an entity. It was this other non-humanoid, non-anthropomorphic. That was the weirdity of it.
That's
I'm more used to dealing with the humanoid anthropomorphic one. Even a few monsters or so have the same connection abilities. This was different. It was a different life force, kind of like you hanging out with, algae and mold. How do you communicate with that? But mold can suck life out of you,
mold could do a lot of things to you, hallucinate and everything.
Toxic, so there was, it was alive. I mean, I had a couple friends like, oh shit, I brought them into like a couple of the abandoned houses and like, oh my God, that wall, the mold had eyes, it was different.
Mold is horrible. I mean, that's how I got sick originally. It's no
whole city was freaking mold with just a little tiny spot that had a heartbeat, and that would have been like the French Quarter. Everything else was like, bleh. Yeah, it was a long time to fix too. A long time.
And there's still areas that are not fixed yet still?
Oh no, it's been fixed. It's been 19 years now. I mean, there's a couple of big looming buildings that have been abandoned since or so with political reasons why they're not, functioning.
Always political.
Yeah,
always political.
It was that was the main demon that was here that is still alive, is the political demon. The demon of corruption. There was a lot of corruption. With Katrina, with chaos, with governments, with people, with thieving. I mean, it was just that dark side was being fed quite easily as people would come here just to steal from people's empty houses, and people would do this, and people just took advantage. I mean, it was
sad, very sad.
So people don't think that like a demon of disease or a demon of corruption can exist, but oh yeah, and it was being fed very well, very well. Yeah, it was a difficult battle. Ritually speaking, energetically healing speaking, it was absolutely the hardest thing that I had to do in my life. And I had helpers and healers from all over the world that would connect at certain times to bring in energies and try to heal. It was hard to resuscitate the heartbeat of the spirit of place here. Yeah, she had been flatlined and needed to reawaken.
When people talk about demons, I always say, I don't really believe in demons per se. I believe that people have an idea of their own demons, and I think that that's what gets created.
Well, that exists. I mean, you have your own demons. You need to face your own demons, your dark side, your shadow side, however. Demons was a catch-all term originally. It wasn't just the evil ones. It was angels. It was spirits. It was nature spirits, daemons. Later it became only that, but it was just entities, if you will, or spirits. So in that way, yeah, sure, of course they exist. And they have a job, but they're not out to get you normally. They have particular jobs in the Bible that they were in charge of, but there are demons of diseases and corruption and other things like that too, that people face. But, it's not like it's evil incarnate trying to get you on their side, People may have ceremonial call them to attack people sometimes, I read something recently which I thought was funny. Is like, well, the problem is that a long time ago, people used to call up the demons to do some work all the time, and now nobody calls them, so they just go out on their own. And I don't know if that's true, but I thought it was humorous
It
way
is.
to look at it, that people just aren't calling them as much. So they got to do something.
Because some people are just evil on their own.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
You know, and the interesting trend. Everybody's at the same time so scared of demons, but at the same time, the trendy thing to investigate is jails, big old jails with nothing but
Mhm.
evil, if you want to look at it that way, or darkness.
Yeah.
Jails, old sanitariums where they put the criminally insane. It's like, okay, I mean,
Mhm.
if you
Yeah. Lunatic asylums.
you're worried about that, then don't go.
Yeah, and the people that they put in the sanitariums, they weren't even the evil. It was the doctors a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
they
times.
were evil too. It was a combination. I mean, I'm sure there were some that were literally
Mhm.
criminally insane, but the
Yeah.
percentage of that was small compared to the regular people who were, like the women who were just hysterical or whatever the case
They were
is.
having menopause issues.
Hormonal
Yeah.
hysterical.
Yeah. And,
But yeah, oh yeah, some of those mental towards of what they did,
yeah.
And then what about the orphanages and sex abuse and the child trafficking and those kinds of things? I mean,
Mhm. It's. I mean, there's so much bad stuff happened because all these people are, because it had to do with money and everything. So they were possessed by the old dead presidents. I've been saying because
that's the demons of corruption I was talking.
yeah,
They
because
always been around. They
but
hung.
those are the people that corruption back then also that let these things happen to people because they got paid. As long as they get paid, they don't
Just
care what happens to
turn
people.
the other cheek, turn the other
Yeah,
way.
I mean, I'm making a couple of dollars. Hey, yeah, I don't care what you do with
Well,
that.
it's the same thing with the slave trade.
Yeah.
Same going back to that evil. I mean, it all everybody was terrible for, I guess, trying to leave a blind eye on some people's part, selling your own people on another part, um, kidnapping people. I mean, just all of it, abusing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this world has not learned from itself, from its own mistakes.
Mm.
And that is very evident. And I do a lot of past life work, and I try to help people find their inner child and find their spirit guides and their past lives to reconcile in the lives that they are. So I do a lot of that kind of work too. It's very interesting in the spiritism version of spiritualism, which I think I'm more or less listening to. That was very live here, which was from the French spiritist or spiritualist Kardec, includes past lives and spirit guides
Mm-hmm.
at the time of doing a seance, because they're spirits that are with you even if they were you. So
Mm-hmm.
not just ancestors, friends, and family, but we have our own little entourage back there, or around us.
That's yeah. That's when you go into when I go on investigations. Sometimes I feel there is something with me. That's because I when I go off on my own and I go into like these little dark spots. I got that 2-inch LED screen that I can see out the night vision and stuff like that. And I always feel there's something with me that's.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
you have your spirit guides, your ancestors, your friends, your own spirits.
I think it's my mother, my little Sicilian mom, because yeah, anybody messes with me, they got to deal with her and her spoon, the wooden spoon, which I know the wooden spoon hurts. So sometimes I think it's her watching over me.
There was we had the earliest and largest Sicilian immigration in the country in New Orleans, whether you knew that or not. So
No,
the
I
French Quarter was known as Little Palermo for nearly 90 years. Almost every Sicilian. It's very influential in our food and our language, our customs. So there's a hell of a lot of Sicilian ghosts here that would come to greet you when you come visit.
Oh,
There was something called bastooning that husband was allowed to do to his wife. Was bastooning was either with a cane or a wooden spoon, quite a lot. Thwap you on the bottom of your foot was a normal and accepted punishment for wives, children, etc. from the man of the house. So bring your spoon, and they mess with you. You got the spoon.
Ouch.
I got a spoon that's actually signed on a survivor of the wooden spoon.
Oh, I guess that's funny. But yeah, there was all sorts of stuff like that going on here. But I think if they say that we are here to pull a bloodline behind us is here to protect us for many generations. Some say 5, and the spirits not yet born, who are still part of the spirit realm that are waiting and hovering are in front of you to pull you. And we're the ones that can move it forward. So if you go in with that attitude and the fact that communication is healing and can only help both of us, then you don't have to be afraid. And fear is a 4-letter word, and it is on many levels. If you walk in fear and you're always looking for the darkness, it'll come. That's in the living or investigation. But I got to go to the doctor, so I got to run on my way. And you only have a little editing to do with that. It was nice meeting all you guys. I'm BloodyMaryNewOrleans.com. I have the Haunted Museum in New Orleans, Bloody Mary's tours, Bloody Mary Nola on TikTok, Bloody Mary New Orleans on YouTube, Bloody Mary Nola on Instagram, and just Bloody Mary here and there. And that is Marie Lovo.
We will list all of that for you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Sorry for technical difficulties, and I hope you come to New Orleans one day.
It's on my bucket list. Definitely on my bucket list. I love to get down there.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great day.
You too. Fun doctors. I can get out of here. Come on. Yeah, you can do it if I can't do it. Here we go. Leaves.
What an amazing lady. She is such an entrepreneur and a badass. We love her. So, wow, she's something else. Very sassy.
Very. I mean, it's great talking to her. Really
yeah.
was.
She knows a lot about the history of New Orleans, NOLA.
You just, yeah. I mean, she knows everything. I mean, she does give the tours, so I guess she has to know a little bit, but.
Yeah, she does. Like I said, she does public, private, or via luxury vans.
That's something. It really is. So you guys ever go down to New Orleans, look up Bloody Mary. She'll really hook you up. Really.
She really will. I would love to go. We were supposed to go, and then COVID was going on, so we decided to change our minds for a little bit. But we're gonna get there. I would love to go. That was always going to be my place. Like, that's my bucket list.
Yeah. That was always my bucket list too. But I mean,
did she say that Marie Laveau is actually inside the doll?
She says it goes inside, in and out of the doll.
It's actually the spirit of Marie Laveau.
I kept on seeing the doll's eyes turning red.
See, I didn't see that.
And I kept on. Look at the eyes were going back and forth at times, and I was, that, and I really got these. Look at the doll; the eyes would turn red. All of a sudden, I got like this really bad ringing in my ear.
I had ringing the whole show, but I did have like my insides were vibrating. So I don't know if I'm just getting a download or if it is something to do with the doll. But I am having, like, the whole show, I had stomach issues. Like, it felt like intestinal problems. I don't have intestinal problems, but it felt like it was from someone else, because now that she's gone, that's gone as well.
Yeah, well, that room in the background, I get, as an investigator, I'm always screening behind everybody and looking back there.
Yeah, I was looking.
And I thought I'd seen something hanging back there and moving. And then she said she has a ghost of a snake. I'm like, whoa, did I just see that? I didn't want to bring up everything I've seen back there, but because it wasn't that type of, but she has stuff going on in that place. I mean, if you're sensitive or you see, you just watch the background. And people just watch that background, and it was like, wow. And there's stuff going on.
Because I have a lot of trouble seeing close up if I have my contacts in, but then I can't see if I have my glasses on or my contacts in far away either. So I'm kind of screwed right now. It sucks getting old. Let's just be honest. But yeah, I was watching. Her place is absolutely stunning.
It is. And it really is. We go. Ever get down there, I'm definitely going to go say hello.
Yeah, I would love to go.
That place was, I mean, it was just giving off stuff.
It's a huge vibe. Absolutely.
I mean, and I mean, getting like vibrations in my chest. I'm looking at the doll. I'm getting vibrations. Most of the time, I was staring at the doll.
She definitely has interesting eyes. That's for sure. They're like chestnut
Yeah.
color. I've never seen that on a doll before.
It's very good. I mean, it's wow. So it was a good show. It was a very good
Yeah, I
show.
wish we could have
We
stayed
had
with it.
different technical difficulties like usual.
Yeah, we'll beat up some time. I wish we could have talked through more about voodoo and different rituals and things like that. But
I mean, the show goes wherever it goes. You know,
yeah,
but sometimes we get those things in, and I mean, everything she had to talk about was interesting.
it was very, very
Even after what New Orleans went through and everything, and how the religion and stuff like that. We did touch on a lot of good stuff there.
yeah. I would really like to have more more shows about like how this was about voodoo. I would like to do more religions and things like that, so it's more educational. So we can talk about things like that. I
Yeah,
think that'd be interesting.
yeah. We're working on a lot of things. So yeah, next week we got Carmela and Todd.
Great show. That'll be.
That's gonna be a good show next week.
This is really weird for me because we're so used to having comments from the viewers. And
Yeah, I know. There's no comments. There's nothing we can put down there now. I guess tomorrow or whatever. Well, this is airing on Thursday.
Thursday, yeah. So our regular will have this on, and this one might be a little bit shorter than our usual 2 hours, but it was recorded. Obviously, we worked around Mary because we wanted to have her as a guest so badly because she's so interesting. This was awesome of her to help us out like this, and she's such a great lady, and she's definitely interesting. This
could go in a couple more hours.
Yeah, I mean, I could have talked to her all night.
Yeah,
this was great. She's definitely somebody that if you have your own show, definitely you can reach out to her. If you do visit New Orleans, make sure you reach out to her. Her website is www.bloodymarystours.com. Her YouTube is Bloody Mary New Orleans. She has all of the social media platforms, which she talked about before she had to go. Unfortunately, she had to go to the doctors, but I would definitely love to go to her haunted museum. I would love to see what that is like. I think that she's an interesting lady. She's definitely a businesswoman for sure. I mean, she was cranking out everything that she's involved in. I don't think that she could get herself involved in anything else at this point.
I mean, and it shows like, with voodoo and stuff, it's what we know is what we see in the movies with zombies and all that stuff. And
yeah.
And the bad stuff, like, the dolls with I mean, they've got different types of rituals that go on, but I mean, it's not as bad as they show in the movies, like paranormal stuff, like ghosts. Ghosts are not all demons, and voodoo is not a bad religion. They make it in the movies sound like it's some kind of,
No, I think everyone can have something negative that they do or they get involved with, whatever. I mean, every religion can do that, or every person could do that, or whatever. But that's why we wanted to make sure that we brought her on so that we can discuss that, not everything is like that. There are bad people. There are good people. There are bad religions. There are good religions. I mean, you can talk about a religion and say that it's the best religion on the planet, but there are bad people involved in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's what it is. You can't make a hasty generalization about anything like that.
No.
Not the words all, never, always, they're not words to use with anything ever. So I think it's good that we did this because it will show that, there are some things that are, looked upon as negative. It's not that. It's it's perception and intention. And I always talk about that. Just like there's not good or bad, it's positive or negative. It's all about what your intention is when you go into something.
Yeah.
Just like people talk about witchcraft. Witchcraft isn't a bad thing. It's about nature, the elements, do no harm, the golden rule. I mean, it is about the specific person and what their intentions are when they use it.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a good show, and if anybody gets down there, I mean that's awesome. And she's coming out with another book, and and any kind of books. I mean, yeah, it sounds like a very interesting lady.
Too bad we couldn't all get on a plane and fly together as a group and have a field trip. I would love to do that.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'll get my private jet. I'll call up right now.
Call up Taylor.
Can you get it prepared? Yes. We'll be there in about an hour. All right. Thank you. So we're going to leave within an hour to New Orleans. Okay.
All right. Everybody pack your bags. And it's actually Tuesday. What are we? Tuesday? Not Thursday. It's already late.
What's today? Today's Wednesday right now.
Wait, is it Wednesday or is it Tuesday? I don't know what day it is.
It's Wednesday, I think.
I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Is it Wednesday?
The 21st. This month's going by. It's leap year too, so you got 29 days this month.
I don't even know what day it is, let alone what time it is or what month it is. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So what else do we have going on? Do we have anything going on? Are we doing anything?
I'm doing an investigation this weekend at the where am I going? The Patra House. They're doing a digital seance event. Full moon are doing it. So they're going, it's more for a digital seance. And then next week I'll be doing a public house with on Friday, which is going to be interesting too, because we've done that once before, and that's another event with that's with Richard Masella and the New Jersey project. There's a project, Paranormal Project. That's it. Hey, I got it right. New Jersey Paranormal Project. Yeah, so I'll be there next week with that. Other than that, I don't know. Do you have anything coming up?
I just did a podcast with Vilma live in LA, and that will be coming out this week on YouTube, and I will announce that. It was in regards to Katrina Kusa, who we are sponsoring for Miss Massachusetts. So that'll be out this week. Other than that, I'm working on a larger project, which I'm not ready to talk about yet, just because I don't want to jinx it, and we're still working on the details. But that'll be, I'll probably know more at the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't know. I'm on Dimensions of the Supernatural Thursdays from 7:30 to 9:30.
But who's on that show? I don't think I ever heard of that one.
I don't know. Us.
Dimensions of the Supernatural. It's just us. Hey,
I don't know. I'm doing some weddings and readings. That's about it.
No, I mean, I'm right now talking with someone about maybe getting another the spirit art show together. So we might be doing that soon. I'll let everybody know if that comes ahead. Another spirit art show like we had at the Ritz. So, and we're working on different things. I mean, as us, we're working on different things that we try to take the show on the road for a little bit, maybe like 1-2 nights, like a night You know, we'll do live from from a hotel or something like that. You know what I mean? We
That'd
can
be
do
cool.
that live from a hotel, and we'll probably have guests in the background. You know, people come and join us.
We've talked about that a bunch of times. I don't know how you guys would feel about that. If you're interested in seeing us do some investigations with some guests, let us know. You know, make sure you guys comment and talk to us and tell us about what you feel about the show. We'll definitely comment back. I know this isn't a live viewing, but we'll definitely be checking the comments and we'll respond back to you. So if you're interested in seeing us do a live investigation, obviously we'll probably have to either record it if it's not on a Thursday night, or if we can get somebody to come with us on Thursday night. I mean, Anthony and I, we have the time, obviously, because I work from home and he's retired. So we're able to do that ourselves. But if we want to get some people with us, it might be a little bit more difficult if they work during the week. But we're interested in doing that, and we've been discussing it quite a bit. So we would definitely be interested in doing that.
Yeah, so we have other things up our sleeves too. So we'll figure out something to get going.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to talk too much about some of our ideas because we want them to be surprises.
Surprises. If they come out, that'd be cool. That'd be great. I think our audience will like anything we do. You know,
I think so.
as long as we keep it fresh and new.
We have some good supporters.
Yeah, we do. So that's all we have then, huh?
I think so. We're at the 146 mark right now.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. Maybe we'll cut it short for you guys tonight and surprise the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Instead of 2 hours and 35 minutes.
So I guess we're gonna say goodnight, huh?
Yeah, this is another great episode of Dimensions of the Supernatural. I'm Maureen Grudzinski of Lil Witchy and also Dimensions of the Supernatural. And this is my co-host, Anthony Simonelli, also known as Mr. Fuhgeddaboudit. Anthony, take it.
I just want to say, be safe out there. You want to look for ghosts. You don't want to be a ghost. Hey, forget about it. Have a good night. Good night.
Hey, how you doing?
Good night.
Good night.